Hey everyone, welcome to Crafting with JC. Today I'm going to show you how I turned these inexpensive pack of wood boards into these stunning high-end decor pieces. You will be surprised how easy these projects are, and they only cost a few dollars to make. So let's get started. For all the DIYs today, I'm going to be using a total of 6 feet of 1x2 inch boards. I bought a pack of 4 2 feet long boards, a total of 8 feet, at my local Home Depot, already cut and sanded. Now, I bought this pack back in April at my local store. It was $6.98 at the time. Today it's up 70 cents, but still under about $1 a foot. You can also buy it uncut, which is even cheaper. Or if you don't want to go to a hardware store, you can sometimes find these at Dollar Tree for about $1.25 a foot. For this project, I'm going to be using 2 feet. I'll also be using this 7 3/4 inch round glass cutting board from Dollar Tree. I'm going to make a wooden stand for the glass. So first thing I do is place the glass on top of the wood and measure. I want it to be snug, so I'm going to cut 8 inches off. I'm going to make a cross that's 8 inch in diameter, and taking into consideration that the thickness of the wood is 3/4 of an inch, here are my cutting measurements. I'm going to add some color using Waverly Antique Wax. With a damp cloth, I apply that on all over the surface and the edges. I do leave the ends or the end grain unstained because I will be applying glue on those areas. You certainly can glue the piece together first so that you're completely gluing raw wood to raw wood, but since I am using a good wood glue and this is going to be directly on a surface, I'm not too worried about it falling apart. Then I stand them up to dry, and I do apply the wax on one end of the smaller ones because those will be exposed. Once everything is dried, it's ready to glue together. I take the long wood, place it on its side, and I measure and mark the center. Then I apply glue on one end of the 3 inch wood, and I glue that right in the center, perpendicular to the 8 inch. And then I do the same thing with the other 3 3/4 inch, gluing that on the opposite side. I apply glue on the ends like so and attach the smaller pieces to all 4 ends, making sure it's positioned upright. Make sure to clamp together until it's completely dry. Finally, I unwrap the glass cutting board packaging, and I really don't need or want these plastic adhesive bumpers that are on the glass, so I peel those off and wipe down the glass to remove any residue that was left behind. I place the glass on top of the wood. It's a perfect fit, and I am done. You can place plants, candles, whatever you want on top. Wow, this was so easy to make, and it looks amazing. For DIY number 2, I'm going to use 2 feet of wood, a couple of these square wood planks from Dollar Tree, 4 tumbling tower blocks, and 1 5-gallon paint stir stick. And I'll be staining the wood with the shade Early American from Varathane. But before I do that, I'm going to cut this 24 inch wood right in the middle so that they are both 1 foot long. I stand one board up and glue a tumbling tower block laid on its side towards the bottom, making sure the bottom is flush and even. And I do the same thing on the other 1 foot board. Next, I lay the wood down and I measure and mark about 2.5 inches from the top. I mark both of the wood, and you really want to make sure they are marked evenly. I apply glue on the wide side of a block, and I place that where I marked, and I glue down the other block as well. I make sure the blocks are positioned evenly, and this is why I often prefer using wood glue, not only for the strong hold it gives, but it also gives me a little wiggle room to reposition wood if needed. Initially, I was only going to use 2 of these wood squares, but they are so thin. So a little hack I like to do with these to make them look thicker is to glue 2 together. You'll need to clamp these together and make sure they dry completely. And look at that, they look so much better. I'm going to stain the wood in the shade Early American by Varathane. This is such a beautiful stain that brings out the wood patterns, and it has a warm undertone. Instead of a brush, I usually like to apply stain with old t-shirts that I cut up. They're usually not worth donating, so instead of throwing them out, I recycle them. And it's definitely a lot cheaper and easier than buying and washing foam brushes. Before staining the squares, I do give it a good sanding all over to smooth it out and remove any glue that seeped out. But unfortunately, even with sanding, I did miss some areas, and so to fix that, I take a little sanding paper and sand the area where the glue has dried. Then I take the cloth that has stain already on it and I wipe that over the sanded area. And look at that, much better than before. To assemble, I hold up the two long boards with the blocks facing each other. I apply glue on the top edge of the tumbling blocks. Now I did sand those areas down a bit just to remove some of the stain. Then I place a wood square right on top. And I'm using this carpenter square that I got from Dollar Tree to make sure it's centered, which happens to be the perfect width. Then I apply glue on the top blocks and place the second wood square on top. To finish the top, I place a 5-gallon paint stir stick that was actually a piece cut up from a prior project. I place that on top, measure, mark, and cut, and then I stain it and glue it on the top. And we are done! Wow, I really love how this turned out. A beautiful, rustic-looking open lantern, simple and stunning. For the final project, I'll be using 2 feet of this 1 by 2 inch wood board and 2 5-gallon paint stir sticks. I'm going to cut the 1 by 2 in half and the paint stir sticks to 12 inches as well. Before I stain it, I take note of the areas where I will be applying glue and I make sure to avoid those areas. I'm going to stain the 1 by 2 inch boards in the shade Early American by Varathane. So I apply that all over with a cloth and then I wipe it off immediately with a clean cloth. For a deeper tone, you can leave it on longer or apply a second coat, but always make sure to wipe out the excess. Here I make sure to leave the areas that I know I will be adding glue unstained. I also apply the stain on the ends or the end grain. Now the end grain is the most porous part and will soak up the most color, so to counter that, you can sand the ends with a higher or finer grit sandpaper than what you're currently using, and that will close up the pores a bit. Then I paint the paint stir sticks white with Waverly chalk paint. I do about a couple coats, but I will be sanding this down as well. I apply the paint on the top surface. You can also do the bottom and the ends, but I do avoid the edges or the sides because I will be applying glue on those areas. I want to distress the wood, so once the paint has completely dried, I start sanding. I glue the paint sticks together and then I turn it over and press down so that the top will be smooth and even. And I did clamp it and let it dry before continuing. Then I apply glue on the wood boards and attach them on both sides of the paint sticks. And once it has completely dried, I seal it and I am done. This is so pretty with tea light candles or whatever you want to display. I absolutely love how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite. Until next time, bye!